Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
Good evening, everyone. First tonight, a new report has blasted the state's mental health system, describing it as sick and incapable of doing its job. Health analysts claim Tasmania's sector is one of the worst funded in the country and needs urgent action.
The scourge of mental health, a consuming and sometimes debilitating issue faced right across the nation. But as patient numbers pour in, critics say funding trickles out.
The mental health system in Tasmania is so sick that it is simply incapable of doing its job.
A new report by health analyst Martin Goddard slamming our mental health system as one of the worst in the country. Dire staffing numbers, a lack of specialised beds and underfunding blamed as the major causes, claiming current government spending in the sector falls $31 million short of most states.
Incredibly stupid policy.
Advocates believe prisons are also on the front line of funding shortages, with inmate numbers growing and mental health services flatlining.
If you are unwell, mentally unwell and in the prison system, you will come out worse.
Commonwealth funding will help unearth a new online and telephone support service, while the state government says a record $56 million cash splash will go some way towards fixing some of the long-standing issues.
A key investment to support our mental health sector.
The state's health system with a new face, but facing old problems.
The Royal Hobart Hospital at the moment is as bad as it's ever been.
The Premier and his deputy today meeting with stakeholders of the private sector, hoping the health system doesn't do the time warp.
A re-elected Hodgman Liberal government.
The two biggest talking points:
easing the pressure, access and flow in terms of our emergency departments, reducing our elective surgery waiting lists.
But the meeting is in no way the first of its kind. Health summits held in Tasmania every few years. The government rejecting claims the consultation is purely lip service.
This will lead to action, and importantly we want to see agreements in place before the end of this financial year.
Some suggest a lot of action is needed over the next 4 years.
I am not confident, and the proof will be in the pudding.
Garth Burley, 7 Tasmania News.
A man charged over the alleged backyard burial of his partner has pleaded not guilty to 3 charges. 70-year-old Olaf Vennick fronted the Hobart Magistrates Court, facing the charges of neglecting to bury and interfering with human remains. It's alleged he buried his partner in a shallow grave at his Cranbrook property last year, but was not involved in her actual death. Mr Vennick is now due to face the Hobart Supreme Court on July 19. 3 people have been charged following a protest against a proposed tailings dam in the Tarkine. MMG has begun investigations into the expansion of facilities supporting its Rosebery mine, saying not doing so could risk the site's future. But the Bob Brown Foundation is calling on the company to scrap its proposed site and explore alternative options.
Drilling exploration that MMG wants to carry out will be damaging. It will damage rainforests, it will damage endangered species habitat, and this is all for exploration when we know the company has viable alternatives.
We have written to the Federal Environment Minister urging her to reject the application from MMG Australia.
The Federal Environment Minister says the department is currently assessing a referral for the project and a decision will be handed down in due course. Gun owners in the northwest are being asked to hand in their firearms during an amnesty this weekend. Police will run special drop-off stations in Sheffield, Ulverston, Rosebery and Smithton on Saturday. Residents can also arrange for police to pick up firearms from their home. A recent amnesty in the state's north saw around 50 guns surrendered. A memorial has been unveiled to commemorate a heroic but deadly tale of Antarctic exploration. 110 years ago, from the very Hobart dock where a plaque now sits, 3 men set out on a journey of discovery, but only one would return.
Waving goodbye from the Hobart waterfront, an emotional farewell, these explorers setting sail for the icy continent.
110 years ago, from this dock here in Hobart, Mawson headed south on what at the time was one of the most important scientific expeditions that had been done.
On board the legendary Douglas Mawson, a Swiss ski champion named Xavier Mertz, and Belgrave Ninnis, a British Army officer.
They went out in order to map Antarctica and to find geological samples, and the results were quite important for that time.
Windy and freezing, the conditions were harsh and the work was brutal. Part of a larger expedition, the three would explore the unknown East Antarctica with a team of huskies. But hundreds of kilometres from base, tragedy struck.
Ninnis fell into a crevasse, taking most of the supplies and dogs with him.
That left Mawson and Mertz with almost nothing, forced to eat their dogs, clinging to life. Mertz would never return. Mawson battled all the odds, making it back to the hut.
They're heroes, and so were all of Mawson's men. They were a remarkable bunch of men.
It was a time when I think young men largely, but a few women too, looked at the world and thought this is a place to discover. There is new science to uncover.
The story of survival now honoured in Hobart on Mawson's Place, a memorial unveiled to ensure their tale is never forgotten. And while a century has passed, it's a legacy that lives on.
The specimens they collected, we actually still have access to. So we are still developing research based on the longitudinal studies commenced by Mawson and his team,
shaping the next generation of Antarctic explorers. Michelle Wisby, 7 Tasmania News.
Large-scale plastic pollution could be creating temperature rises in coastal areas and destroying ecosystems, according to new data. The report by the University of Tasmania's marine arm found that a build-up of plastic debris on the Henderson and Cocos Islands increased daily temperatures by 3 degrees. Researchers say this has a significant effect on the habitats of crabs and turtles. Approximately 3 kilograms of plastic per square metre were uncovered during the study. A Hobart City Councillor has been lambasted by colleagues for joining a council meeting while driving. Alderman Jack Ewan logged into the fortnightly meeting from their car, prompting a furious response from other elected members.
Surely that is against the law. Lord Mayor, we've got a councillor who's driving a car, listening to this thing that is dangerous.
Councillor Ewan was asked to leave the meeting and rejoin from home. They claim what they were doing was not illegal because they were using Bluetooth connectivity. A Tasmanian footy club once on its deathbed has been resurrected in one of local sport's finest turnarounds. St Virgil's, long the whipping boy of the Old Scholars Football Association, is undefeated this season, with its determination to survive finally paying off.
In the shadow of the tower clock sits St Virgil's, a club where time was once well and truly running out.
The question was asked, are we happy to get flogged by 200 points each week or should we go into recession?
The proud premiership photos date back to the black and white days, but its modern trophy cabinet is bafflingly bare. The club won just 3 games in its past 5 seasons. But in 2021, the battle-weary Saints are starting to crack a smile, having 6 wins from 6 games.
I think as we stuck together and kind of kept that morale, we just kind of hoped that eventually more people would come to the club and would start to rebuild.
Patrick Midson has been at the coalface of those dark days. Even though the song was rarely sung, he says the St Virgil's community kept drawing players in.
It's not just a footy club, it's a bit more than that.
We were always hoping that things would turn around if we just held on.
Plus, with the advent of a women's team this year and the return of sponsors, long-suffering supporters like 300-game veteran Brad Hasty are seeing the light. He was among the last senior group to win a flag 20 years ago.
Hopefully all of those that stayed around really get to enjoy playing a game and thinking that they're going to perhaps be competitive at least when they run out. So, yeah, it's really good.
Maybe this year's reunion will have more than yesteryear to celebrate. Tom Johnson, 7 Tasmania News.
Kelvin Smith is known for playing his piano in some of the state's most beautiful destinations, but his day job looks a little different. The man behind A Piano of Tasmania started a labouring business 6 months ago. Its sole purpose to help refugees find long-term employment.
From the Gordon Dam to Port Arthur, Kelvin Smith has played at some of the most scenic places in Tasmania.
I was given a piano by a lady and she said, you can have it if you play it in beautiful places. And so I found some beautiful places and started playing.
Including this construction site. It might not look like much, but to these refugees, it represents a world of opportunity. Porne spent 11 years in camps fleeing conflict in Myanmar before moving to Tasmania. The past 12 years have been an adjustment.
Because when I came here, I never get a job.
For 3 years now, trying to get him employed in a consistent manner. And at the beginning of this year, it was just like, okay, I'll bite the bullet, I'll do it myself, we'll start a business.
A labouring business with the sole purpose of breaking down barriers stopping refugees from finding employment.
It's all up against them, and yet they're very, very capable and very hard workers. It's just a matter of being able to integrate cultures and work around the language difficulties.
Where they mightn't get an opportunity under normal circumstances, you know, Kelvin being the conduit to make it happen.
Andrew Lydon on his side as the business grows.
Trying to help Kelvin, you know, find work placement for the guys, mostly on our own sites at this stage, but we have approached another couple of builders.
12 refugees have been employed by Kelvin over the past 6 months, and that number will continue to increase as more work rolls in.
The opportunity is absolutely massive. As fast as I can find supervision, we can employ.
The aim is to help them secure apprenticeships and long-term employment.
So working here, Kelvin's given me the chance to have a look at other trades in this area. Exciting and meeting new people. I'm grateful here. Working on the side here, I'm grateful.
And for these refugees, the future looks brighter than ever.
I feel very good.
And once people start seeing their work ethic and their ability, that it actually outweighs their English difficulties, the possibilities are endless.
Meg Sides, 7 Tasmania News.
Well, after a record-breaking 721 entries, the finalists of the country's most lucrative landscape art competition have been unveiled. 33 artists are now one step closer to taking out the top spot in the 2021 Hadley's Art Prize. Among them is 2018 winner Neil Haddon, his piece inspired by a walk he took in the Central Highlands.
I started thinking not just about the landscape and the mountains and the beautiful landscape that I was walking through, but strangely also about mortality.
The winner of the $100,000 competition will be announced on July 30. Hit 100.9 has been declared Hobart's most loved radio station, with 1 in 5 listeners tuning in. The #1 spot secured by breakfast hosts Jimmy and Nath, who said they love working alongside their local community every day.
We feel like it's a family, like it's more than people who listen to the show. We feel like they're part of something bigger.
Although we're the ones in the studio, we never want to think that it's us doing a show for the people of Hobart. We're all doing a show together.
7HO FM came in second, followed by ABC Hobart.
Kingborough Lions have unveiled an ambitious multi-million-dollar plan to renovate their home ground at Kingston. The changes allow the club to host men's and women's games at the same time, while there are also hopes of landing a role in the 2023 Women's World Cup.
For the Kingborough Lions, Lightwood Park is home, but the ground's infrastructure is showing signs of age. The growth in players, especially in women's football, making facilities obsolete.
You've got one set of people waiting outside while the other ones are being changed. And of course, if you've got male and female players, it's just totally inappropriate.
Plans to address those issues being put in place. The first stage will begin next month, adding 4 change rooms and improved spectator amenities. 3 more stages to also come by late 2022.
Will enable both male and female games to be played at once, which has been a difficult process.
We've got the scope and potential to develop quite a football precinct here, which is what the goal is.
Another goal also in mind, the venue looking to score one of 32 nations that qualify for the 2023 Women's World Cup, beaming the state into 1 billion homes worldwide.
If we've got a country based here, obviously it's fantastic for football more generally, but particularly for women's football. And for Tasmania,
we are very confident that out of those 32 teams, they'll be looking for somewhere where there's a bit more privacy, it's easier to get around.
FIFA officials are expected to begin evaluating training bases later this year.
We think that we've got a lot to offer. We're very confident in our venues. We're very confident in the people of Tasmania getting behind these countries.
John Hunt, 7 Tasmania News.
A record 46 teams have packed the Silver Dome for the Futsal school titles in Launceston. Nearly 400 players signed up, prompting Futsal Tasmania to run what would normally be a one-day tournament over 2.
To see more kids now taking up the sport of futsal, not just here, but during the week and weekends as well, with our tournaments is great to see.
For the winners, a Champion of Champions tournament will be held later this year, where the top 2 teams from the Northwest, North and South will face off to decide the best in the state. And Madison Brooks remains top billing on the leading goal scorers in the Women's Hockey Premier League after scoring in OHA's 2-1 win over Northwest Grads. In the other game, Diamondbacks beat Canterbury 4-2, while Northwest Grads and Diamondbacks enjoyed wins in the men's. And that wraps it up for sport tonight, Kim.
Good evening. Maximum temperatures were generally 1 to 5 degrees above average today. 20 degrees in Launceston, which was the state's high. Hobart 18, Burnie and Devonport 17. 19 today at Ouse, Grove, Strawn and on Flinders Island. St Helens 18, 17 for King Island and Smithton. Low Head 16 along with Maria Island and the Friendly Beaches. And Liaweenie 8 degrees. High clouds seen over Tasmania today associated with a cold front. A frontal cloud band extends from WA across Central Australia and over Victoria, Western New South Wales and Tasmania. A spiral of clouds south of Adelaide indicates a low pressure centre, while low-level cloud about the South Australian and Queensland coast is the result of onshore winds. Tomorrow the front moves east to lie over the Tasman Sea. A trough is over the east of Tasmania and another over eastern Queensland. The western high moves over Central Australia to dominate the weather across the continent. Winds 25 to 35 knots, lighter at times about the west and southeast, easing to 20 to 30 knots about the west and east in the afternoon. Seas 3 to 4 metres. A gale warning is current for northern and eastern coastal waters from Sandy Cape to St Helens Point. Also for southeastern coastal waters from Wineglass Bay to Southeast Cape. A strong wind warning issued for all remaining coastal waters, as well as Storm Bay, the Channel, Frederick Henry and Norfolk Bays, and also the Central Plateau Lakes. Showers in the south tomorrow, Hobart 14, 12 at Geeveston, Bothwell 11. Showers easing across the north, 15 in Launceston, Devonport 13, 14 at Cressy. Burnie, wind and showers easing, 12 degrees, Strawn, showers and 13, 14 and showers at Curry. Morning showers in St Helens 16, a possible shower at Swansea 15, Orford partly cloudy 14. Cool weather ahead on Thursday with snow to 900 metres, lowering to around 700 metres about the west and south, showers elsewhere. Friday, showers about the east, south and central plateau, mostly clearing late in the day. Snow to 700 metres, lifting above 1,000 metres by evening. And Saturday, fine apart from possible light showers about the west and far south. A sunny day ahead for Brisbane, 25 and Sydney, 23, while Melbourne can expect a shower or two, 15 degrees. Right now in Hobart it's cloudy and 16, Launceston rain and 13 and rain in Devonport 14. And that's your Tuesday night weather forecast, Kim.
Thank you very much, Carmen. And that's all we have time for tonight. Thanks for your company. Stay safe. Good night.